It's 2-minute drill time. Sam Monson here along with Bruce and Ian. Bruce, the injuries for the 49ers are starting to mount up. Brandon Aiyuk is down, as well as Deebo Samuel, and now we've got Nick Bosa as well. How concerned should we be getting that the 49ers injury list is starting to pile up?
Well, I think, the latest with Bosa and Aiyuk, I mean, these things happen during training camp, Sam. They didn't have OTAs, they didn't have mini camp. Being in shape is different than being in football shape. So I think right now during training camp, a lot of these soft tissue injuries come up. So it's just minimizing how bad it gets, right? So can they get time to rest Bosa and Aiyuk? Give them time. Shanahan's smart. But it's Deebo Samuel. Getting back also from the Jones injury fracture that hopefully he'll be fine. But they also had Travis Benjamin opted out. So, they are missing a few guys, but I don't really worry with Kyle Shanahan because he's a plug and play type coach. I mean, it's the system itself that helps them be successful.
Yeah, definitely the Shanahan system is going to give them one of the higher floors we're going to see in the league, but it is just starting to pile up, and especially on offense. If we can throw Jalen Hurd in that ACL as another guy out there, and why were they so successful last season? It's the system, but it's also having some yak monsters out there. And, you still have George Kittle as a number one, but with Deebo, Aiyuk, Hurd, we're just slowly but surely seeing the depth kind of disintegrate. And I'm a little worried about Nick Bosa as well because, losing Buckner to the Colts, the whole basis of why this defense was so good last year was because quarterbacks, could not hold that ball longer than 2 seconds. Otherwise, you'd be flat on your back. So hopefully Nick Bosa can get back to good health sooner rather than later because he might be the single most important player for that 49ers defense.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with Nick Bosa. As you say, soft tissue injuries are going to happen in training camp. You just have to ride through them and get to the other side. But I am starting to get a little bit worried about just the number of injuries that are piling up at wide receiver for them. They stockpile this group of guys that are all like Deebo Samuel, these yak monsters, these guys that can make plays after the catch within Shanahan's system. And they're all going down. It doesn't matter if you have a ton of them, if none of them are available to you. They had this group of guys that was supposed to sort of keep this offense's head above water while Deebo Samuel got back hurt or got back from injury, and all those guys have gone down as well. So at some point, they're going to need more than just George Kittle to throw the football to, and that's starting to become an issue.
No, that's a great point, Sam. And looking at Anthony Treash's article, he wrote a great article for us talking about the top 10 rookies that need to step up this year. Ian, who do you got?
So I think some of these wide receivers, specifically Jalen Reagor with the Philadelphia Eagles, and you look at why was Carson Wentz so good in 2017 compared to 18 and 19, and one big issue I think was just a lack of speed on the field. And 2017 wasn't overwhelming, but we at least had Torrey Smith in the rookie year, Mac Hollins making some plays. 2018, 2019, all those guys are hurt. Mike Wallace, Deshaun Jackson. Jalen Reagor is kind of that glue guy, though, where he's not just a field stretcher. He can be the everything in this offense. And we have Carson Wentz comparing that guy to Julio Jones. So we know Ertz is going to get his. Miles Sanders is a great back. But, if the Eagles can really add that true number one wide receiver that they apparently think Reagor could be, ceiling is a roof for Carson Wentz in that passing game in 2020.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with wide receiver and look towards the Vikings with Justin Jefferson. Honestly, I think basically anybody the Vikings drafted in the first 3 rounds needs to step in and be pretty good right away. They put themselves in a position of needing to replace quality starters on this team with players that need to come in from the draft and hit the ground running. But let's start with offense. They trade away Stephon Diggs, and they use that pick to basically draft his replacement. And I don't know that people are fully appreciating just how good Stephon Diggs is and how hard that's going to be for a rookie to come in and replicate right off the bat. We're talking about a guy that has 3 straight seasons of top 20 grades at PFF, and the passer rating when throwing in his direction for his entire career is 108. So you're expecting a rookie to come in and right away be giving you a passer rating of over 105 when you're throwing the ball in his direction. That's just a tough ask.
Guys, good points. And I'm going to stick with the receivers as well. Why not? Because that's where your money is. But I'm going to look at Henry Ruggs with the Las Vegas LB Raiders. And, because The Raiders ranked 31st as a team with the receiving grade for us last year. So Tyrell Williams also just tore his labrum. How well can he play through that? They have Darren Waller that played well last year. Not sure Jason Wittinger speed downfield, and he's not really going to separate much versus man-to-man. So someone needs to step up. I think it's Henry Ruggs, 10.5 yards after the catch last year. I think his open separation, 67% open separation when he's lined up outside. So I think he does have the ability, smooth route runner, really can do it all. Derek Carr needs him to step up, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
A lot of good position battles going around the league. Now, this time last year, all the news out of Chicago Bears camp was their field goal competition, because that's apparently what Matt Nagy prioritized, thinking they were 3 points away from making big things happen in 2019. Now we got a little issue in the QB room, but Nick Foles is reportedly inches ahead of Mitch Trubisky right now. Sam, who do you think should start for Chicago?
I mean, if you're not starting Nick Foles, then you might as well just pack up and take the 2020 season off and come back and start again next year. Like, you know at this point that Trubisky cannot play quarterback for the Chicago Bears in the NFL. We've seen multiple years of that. And if anything, he's been going backwards, not forwards. Like, he's been regressing and has been bad enough that even Matt Nagy scaling back the offense and trying to make it more idiot-proof was only making things worse. Like, he was a bigger idiot than the idiot-proof offense. So you went and made the move for Foles. You have to start him. I don't know that Foles is going to be a clear upgrade over Trubisky, but you already know that Trubisky can't get it done. So let's give Foles a shot and see what he can do.
No, I agree with you, Sam, but you know what? They're going to need both guys this year. You know, Nick Foles, the last time he played over 700 snaps in a season was 2013. Trubisky has already played over 900 snaps in 2 seasons. So can Nick Foles stay healthy? That's going to be interesting. So you need to keep both guys' confidence levels up. And how do you do that? I mean, DeFilippo, Bill Lazor, Nagy, they all worked with Foles before. So I do agree. They have that camaraderie. I think if there's any doubt right now, and if Foles is playing a little better, man, go with Nick Foles. But I'm telling you, at some point this season, you're going to need Trubisky, whether it's a game or two or who knows what happens. But it'll be interesting to see. But I'm on the Nick Foles bandwagon for now.
Yeah, it's 3 for 3 with Foles. I would just point out a little bit from a fantasy football perspective. Like, okay, we know Allen Robinson is the number 1 in Chicago, but don't underestimate what Anthony Miller can bring to the table in 2020. I mean, this time last year, we were all talking ourselves into D.D. Westbrook in Jacksonville because of Nick Foles' just historical tendency to feed his slot receivers. We saw it in Philly. We've seen it throughout his career. And, you know, Miller, last year, targets started to spike once Taylor Gabriel was out. Now he's gone. Miller is the undisputed number 2 in Chicago. And he's also the number 1 receiver in Trubisky's history, just in terms of adjusted yards per attempt. So, you know, it's not the most I guess, speedy offense as a whole, but condensed target share, Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, I'm buying both of them at price in fantasy football 2020.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.